something I originally wanted to talk about when I was going to have my co-host who had to go to work was this conversation that came up during over the internet was, could Rock Lee beat Shikamaru with Rock Lee having Byakugan and Shikamaru having Sharingan, tier 3 apparently. And my answer is that's why is that a question? Rock Lee's effing amazing, yes, but the Byakugan literally requires you to use the exact opposite fighting style than what he uses. So he's screwed. He actually would have gotten weaker. Shikamaru, and then not to mention the Sharingan, is broken as hell. My next rant is gonna be about Naruto as a whole. We're gonna start here. So originally when the show first came out, just between those two eye abilities, they were supposed to be considered about equal to each other. With the two families considered equal to each other. But then they just kept adding more and more to this Sharingan to make it have all these abilities. Oh, by the way, not only can you like track your opponent better and be able to learn their techniques instantly, you're able to hypnotize them. You're able to make this black fire appeal. You're able to put this person in a mental time loop. You're able to do this. You're able to do that. You're able to do this. You're able to do that. What's the point? Now, the only advantage, by the way, I'm going to say this real fast. The only advantage that Rock Lee would have over Shikamaru is because Shikamaru is not a member of the family correctly. He his ki or chakra would burn down almost instantly. That's one of the reasons Kaka Sensei, or how do you say it? The sixth Hokage was weakened. What got stronger after he got rid of his eye was because his chakra reserves didn't constantly have to power that. Also, the whole point of Rock Lee is that he is not special anyway. He has zero skill with any of the magic jutsu, so he just works about 100 work training, physics. And my favorite character is Might Guy, who's almost the exact same way. Might Guy can use some of the jutsus if he wants to, but he just never had a talent for it, as he phrased it. So he just stuck with his eyebrow powers, which is my running joke for it. This is one of my early gifs I made because I was bored, and that's when he's like opening all the gates. But anyway, they did Rock Lee dirty. They did that whole leg breaking thing to make, because otherwise he would have been one of the most unstoppable characters. He really would have. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, he gets insanely more powerful when he's drunk, and we're only going to do that one time. Now, so Naruto commits several anime sins that piss me off. Now, for the record, this is some of the earliest anime, so they can kind of get away with it in my book, but they still piss me off. The one that pisses me off is the ever-shifting power scale. Now, Dragon Ball is one of my favorites, and they're incredibly guilty of this, so I usually give that a pass. But, yeah, I don't watch Boruto at all. Like, I've seen a couple of scenes that I cared about because I love Naruto's little daughter. She's adorable. And that's pretty much it. But no, the power creep annoys me to hell. Like you have like one of the early fights between two super skilled ninjas, and it's like 15 hand symbols to make water move, and then later on it's dink flooding the world, and that annoys the hell out of me. Now, mind you, to some degree, that okay, whatever. You're like you have these people who are insanely more powerful, higher chakra reserves, whatever. But they never explain it. If they explain that each hand, you can reduce the number of hand signals by the amount of chakra you're using, cool. That would have made sense. That would have bypassed a lot of it. Because originally I know like the fourth Hokage, spoilers, was Naruto's dad, was supposed to be considered one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful Hokage, with the only ninja in history to have a flee on sight record after he killed 1,000 ninjas by himself. But then they're like, oh shit, wait a minute. The first Hokage is supposed to be this, supposed to have this epic fight with this guy, and he's the ultimate bad guy, and blah. So they kind of screwed that up. And then, so there's that sin where it's like the power creep. But the other sin that annoys the hell out of me is, I'm powerful because of my family. I'm powerful because of my dad. I'm powerful because of this. I get pissed off about characters who are just insanely gifted for no freaking reason. The biggest sin, and the earliest one to me, was Sasuke, like all of Sasuke. But we're just starting there. Sasuke mastering a technique that Rock Lee took years to master, and he did it in 2 months. That got me. When I saw that, I was pissed. And that was in the original Naruto show, not even Shippuden. Right, you do need to have some way of things just to keep things first, but to quickly reach a point where raising the bar any further just makes it silly. Yeah, they were fighting a literal god at one point. Now, mind you, they have one of my favorite moments in Naruto Shippuden for that, where he used pervy jutsu against it, which is an old callback to the first series. And it was hilarious. Like, if it wasn't for I'd probably get in trouble for it, I'd show you it. But basically Naruto in the early series had this habit of like using his shape-changing form to turn into a female so he could peep, and he called it sexy jutsu. Then he created a version called harem jutsu where he turned into a bunch of women. Hang on, I understand, trust me, like, but this is early anime. I'm giving them a slight pass for no reason. So when they're fighting this female demigod or god, whatever you want to call them, who basically gave the world chakra, the way they got a sneak attack in on her was him using reverse harem jutsu. And it's exactly what it sounds like. He turns into a bunch of Yori-looking guys, only faintly covered by clouds, and to distract her, and then they land a solid punch on her. And it's hilarious to me just because you have Sakura, who they did. The only person they did more dirty than Sakura is Rock Lee and Tenten, but I'm going to get into that some other time. And anyway, they do that, and she's like, "That's the way it doesn't work." It works, and she's like, "It works," and then passes out because she's like, "What the hell?" But yeah, the whole perviness side in anime and stuff, I'm not going to get into that. It's a much longer rant. I would love to have somebody else with me on that one. That one would be a lot easier to talk about, especially with like My Hero Academia and how they do Mineta. But I'm on Naruto right now. We'll get back to that in a second. So you have all that. You have the power creep. You have the I'm powerful because my dad was powerful. And then they build the whole premise to the early series that Naruto is almost effectively a no one. He's mischievous, but he's not particularly smart, and he's not particularly powerful. But then they spend the rest of the series going, oh, here's how he's not. One, he has a stupid amount of chakra reserves. Then he has this god beast in him that has an infinite amount more that powers him up. So he literally is able to master techniques the fastest way possible, using where he clones himself a shit ton of times in a way that they literally describe in the anime as something only he could do. Oh yeah, then by the way, he is the reincarnation of a demigod. He is the great-great-great-great-great-grandson of the first Hokage or something like that. He's like somehow distantly related because the Uzumaki are related to the first Hokage. And then he is the direct son of the fourth Hokage. Oh, sorry, he's related to the first two Hokage and the fourth. How was he not supposed to... Oh, and technically the fifth Hokage, because... Anyway, that's another thing. So he's got all of this lineage, and they spend the whole beginning of Naruto itself trying to say, oh yeah, by the way, he's effectively a nobody. He's got no heritage. Oh, but then he's got this god beast he's able to draw power from. Oh, wait, it might go on a rampage if he draws too much power. Oh, wait, he just became friends with it, and now they share power. At what point was he supposed to be normal? In any remote way. I wouldn't have a problem with it if that was a premise they started with, but they started with a completely different premise at the beginning that he had trouble even doing a fake duplicate. Not even then he masters Shadow Clone and he abuses the hell out of that, which is awesome. And then let's not get into the Taki no Jitsu, which for those who don't know the show, that's basically where he talks the bad guy into giving up. You know, it's a bad guy who he can't actually beat, so he just talks him into surrendering. But that's just like some of the basics. I could go on a much longer rant because once again, Rock Lee is my favorite character. I have a thing for the character like Rock Lee and Zoro, who are just these characters who are like, yeah, there's all these other crazy things I could be learning, but I'm going to focus on I'm punching you really damn hard. Or in Zoro's case, I'm going to be the master of this sword. Zoro could very easily go find a devil fruit to make him insanely more powerful. He doesn't. In fact, he probably would turn it down. He's like, no, that's taking away from my swordsmanship. And he's at the point where he's cutting mountains in half by accident. Those are some of my favorite characters. Just period. Like, that really is what it sums up. Why I have a weird thing for like the Street Fighter series is because that's a lot of the characters in there. Ryu, he's dedicated himself to his craft, and I really like characters who dedicate themselves to their craft. It just seems really cool.